Hello, my friends, and welcome back for a Friday Reads. I know. It's amazing that this is actually happening. I am back and making a video. And going to talk to you about what I've been reading and what I plan to read for the next week. And let's see if we can make this the start of a tradition. So let's start by talking about the one book I have finished in this past week. And that is this volume right here, 3 to the Highest Power. It has 3 novellas in there, one by Bradbury, one by Oliver, and one by Sturgeon. And so the back says it's a new Martian Chronicle by Ray Bradbury. Yes, it fits with Martian Chronicle. It's not an official Martian Chronicle, but it would certainly fit in that collection as something he wrote later for it. A Poignant Adventure in Deep Space by Chad Oliver. Okay, yeah, I'll give it that. And An Unforgettable Tale of Witchcraft by Theodore Sturgeon. And I'd give it that too. These were incredibly enjoyable. So it's The Lost City of Mars by Bradbury. One Foot in the Grave by Sturgeon. And The Marginal Man by Chad Oliver. Of those, obviously, my favorite one was the Ray Bradbury. And it was the one that I had read prior to this past week. And then this past week I had a day off. And so one of my goals for that day off was to read the Oliver and Sturgeon novellas in here. And I did succeed at that. And incredibly enjoyed them. The Sturgeon one was a little slow starting. It took me a while to really get into it. But once it got going, I was absolutely hooked. And one of the best things about this, I'll go back here to the last one with Chad Oliver, is that it comes with science fiction and fantasy index. So it gives a list of different things that they had written at the time. So that's a kind of a helpful little thing, so you can see novels and short stories that they'd published and what years they had published them. And the Ray Bradbury one is extensive. And a little introduction from the editor. So this was edited by William F. Nolan. And definitely enjoyed it. And I'm glad that I read it. As you can see, it's seen better days. So this one's probably going to go into a little free library to pass it along to somebody else that might be interested. Because I don't find science fiction and fantasy in my local little free libraries here in town. So I'm going to try to change that by putting some in there in the hopes that eventually, maybe, someone will put something new in there. So the next one that I've read, or that I've been reading, is this right here. So this is my medieval monthly pick for nonfiction November. So this is 2 Lives of Charlemagne. So it's got one biography of Charlemagne by Einard, who was a contemporary of Charlemagne. A close friend, I believe, and then one by Noctur the Stammerer. I have finished all of Einard. I read all of that in a single day. It's short, but it was a really, really engaging read. Surprisingly so, for being nonfiction, because nonfiction isn't always. I absolutely enjoyed it. So I still haven't gotten back around to Noctur the Stammerer, because I've had a couple other things I've been wanting to hit before circling back to this, but I will definitely be finishing this soon. The next one, I've finally made more progress on Claudius. I started this back last month. I got about 40 pages in and got sidetracked with everything else I was reading. As you can see, I'm not a whole lot further. I am to page 72 now. So I've almost doubled, getting close to the doubling point. This next chapter's going to take me close to 100. I already looked ahead to see how long it was. And I'm incredibly enjoying it. I need to get back around to picking this up. Because I'm having a good time with it. It's just, this is thicker than everything else that I'm currently reading. So at times it's easier to say, you know what, I'm just going to pick up one of these smaller ones to try to blitz those out. But I'm going on a work trip for part of the week next week. So this is probably the book I'm going to take with me for when I need a break from all the grading I'll be doing in the hotel room hours. And then the last thing I've been reading this week, it's been months since I had picked it up, but I finally got back to my Riesling Anthology from 2016, edited by Charles Christian. So this is the best science fiction, fantasy, and horror poetry of 2015, selected by the Science Fiction Poetry Association. So I'm about almost a third of the way through in this. And as is true with a lot of modern poetry, some of it is a complete miss. Others are an absolute hit. If I had had time to make a Poetry Thursday video, I was going to read for you this Requiem poem by Matt Quinn. I read it a couple nights ago and absolutely enjoyed it. And so I'm excited to dive back through and to get to the end of this. Because once I get to the end of this, then it is back to the volume I don't think I've touched since like April. And that's the Harold Bloom Anthology that I still need to read like 600 pages out of. My poetry for the year is pretty much set for me. So in addition to 3 of those 4 books that I just showed you that I'd like to make progress on this next week, there are 3 other books that I have started prior to now that I would like to finish before I look at picking up anything else new. So the longest standing of those is The Book in the City of Ladies by Christine de Pizan. This was the group read pick for Antisathon back in June that I co-hosted and did a horrific job of doing. I was a terrible co-host because life just exploded on me and I didn't have much motivation to read things like this. I did enjoy what I had read of it. I am on page 58 out of a lot. So it is about 250 pages. So I've got about 200 pages to go in here. You can see there I've got a lot of progress to make. But I'm determined. I want to get back to this because what I had been reading I did enjoy. It just wasn't the right read at the right time. And now I've fallen back into more of a medieval balanced mood to where I want to revisit and give it another shot. Because my co-hosts both tremendously enjoyed it. Another one that I'd like to get back to, I've read exactly 1 story out of this. But I'd like to continue Those Idiots from Earth by Richard Wilson. I believe the story I read was the title story. Yeah, Those Idiots from Earth. And, I mean, this is 160 pages long. So it's short, and it's got about 10 stories in there. So they'll fly right by. Even if I try to hit like 1 a day, I could probably knock this out in no time. And that habit would probably be good because starting November 26th, we are kicking off the read-along of a thing a day out of Dangerous Visions. I mathed it out the other day. November 26th, we'll start with the first introduction, and then the second introduction, and then, what's it called? Oh, the first foreword, the second foreword, and then the introduction. So 26th, 27th, and 28th will be those. And then 29th we'll do Evensong by Lester Del Rey, and 30th we'll hit Flies by Robert Silverberg. And then from there it's all 31 days of December have something out of this. It should be really, really great. It actually ends with a story that I believe is one of the better ones. One of the winners, I and Gomorrah by Samuel R. Delaney. Which is one I'm excited for. There's a lot in here I'm excited for. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to have another video later on in this month to officially remind people about this. But if you're interested in reading, there's still time to pick up a copy or a digital copy. If you'd like to join a Voxer group for this, please reach out to me on Voxer. I'll start making a group as I get people gathered together. I know at the very least I'm going to have Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads joining me. So each and every day we can chat about what piece of this that we read in there. And, if you want to take on a bigger mantle and help be a co-host, Steve Donahue, you're welcome to do so. Let me know, and I'd be happy to share the spotlight and have your tremendous insight to help us along. I won't be making daily videos, but I'll probably try to make weekly videos if I can. And then the last thing, and the one that I'm closest to finishing, that I need to pick back up. I read most of this late last month and got sidetracked once I got to part 4 in here because it was kind of working okay for me. And that is The Quest of Three Worlds by Cordwainer Smith. This is broken into 4 different parts. Part 1 was okay. Part 2 was extremely good. Part 3 then took a steep downward descent into just being okay again. And I think that's what made me decide once I got to part 4. I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I'm at page 150. This is 174 pages. I can push through, or I can just set this aside for now and pick up something that excites me a little bit more. And I went the route of stuff that excites me more. So I'm going to make a valiant effort to try to get this done this weekend. Because as of right now, my count for the Read Your Shelf Challenge is 1. And here, before too long, I would like it to be 2. The other thing I'm currently reading, and I'm 83% of the way through now, I believe is the percentage on my app, and that is the ebook copy of The Best of Robert E. Howard, Volume 1, which I showed on the screen when I did my ebook reader tag earlier this week. So not only is Friday Reads back this week, but a tag came back this week. I don't know. So something's happened. I'm giving myself a little bit of time to do this instead of just reading and grading. There's light at the end of the tunnel for me, though, because my triage of classes, I'm teaching 3 classes right now in the evenings online. 2 of them are coming to an end in about 2 to 3 weeks. And the other one will be ending mid-December, with only 1 so far confirmed to start up in December. So hopefully I'll be out from under the avalanche of teaching and be able to get back to balancing a little bit more with my free time. It's just been hard the last couple months, just when I do have that little bit of free time, to decide that I should sit down and make a video. Instead, it's usually I need to sit down and read because I haven't been able to do much of that at all. So anyway, there we go. Friday Reads. So I'd love to hear what you've been reading. I feel like I've been missing a lot of this wonderful interaction with this great society of people that are talking about books and reading books. And yeah, I miss it. I really do. And I've still been watching plenty of BookTube during my hours of work. But it's harder to comment, and it's harder to watch a lot of it outside of that. So anyway, thank you so much for your time, for sticking around, those of you that stuck around with me all the way through. I'm excited to see if I can't make Friday Reads happen again this next week. And who knows, maybe I'll make a valiant effort to read that poem for Poetry Thursday next week. Thank you, BookTube.